Hi everyone. In this quick video, we're going to take a look at the some of the highlights of the reopening safety plan, also known as the attestation plan. So we'll look at just the highlights of an overview of the entire plan, and then the various components within the plan itself, and then the highlights of it. The various components cover anything from training to cleaning and disinfecting to physical distancing guidelines. So we'll touch on some of the highlights for each of those sections. So just an overview of the plan. Just know that daily symptom checks are expected to be done at home by parents before students are sent to school. And as well as we'll do some temperature checks when students are on campus here when in their 0 and first period classes. So we want daily symptom checks to be done at home, as well as we'll do the temperature checks when students arrive on campus in their 0 and first period classes. Just know that masks are required for all staff and students when they're on campus. We will be monitoring social distancing as students are on campus, and then also moving from class to class in terms of the student flow. And I'll talk about the student flow at a later point in time in terms of the directions and how we want students to move about on campus. If a student or a staff member does show any symptoms here on campus, so we have certain protocols in place. So for students, we will escort the student to the health office, and then we will contact the parents for students to be picked up. Parents must be prepared to pick up the child promptly. And then if a staff member shows any symptoms on campus, then we will be contacting HR office and then basically taking guidance from there as far as what the next steps are. If that staff member happens to be a certificated staff, then we will be contacting Morita and HR. And then if the staff member happens to be a classified staff, then we will be contacting Cynthia Ramirez. If for whatever reason, when we have students back on campus, and let's say we have a confirmed case or possibly multiple cases, then there have been designated district personnel in the student services department that are in charge of contact tracing. So they will be asking various questions to the individuals and then do the contact tracing. And then they will be informing the healthcare agency of Orange County in terms of what the information is. And then we will be taking guidance from the healthcare agency as to what our next steps will be at that point in time. So just some of the highlights of the training. We know that staff have received training for cloth face covering, managing stress and anxiety, hand washing guidelines. All of those trainings have been done through the Keenan portal. Students will receive training, and I think they've already received training for hand washing and proper mask wearing. I think the school nurses had created those videos, which already have been shared out to the students. And then students will be receiving additional informational videos in terms of what to expect when they are back on campus. So that informational video will be shared with students prior to them coming back on campus. Custodians have received additional training on disinfecting practices. So these are just some of the highlights of the training component of the attestation plan. Some of the highlights from the individual control measures and screening section of the attestation plan. Once again, face masks are required for staff and students. Face shields may be worn in addition by staff members as an additional layer of protection, but just know that face shields by themselves are not a replacement for masks, right? All staff members are required to wear masks. Face shields are just an additional layer of protection if certain staff members choose to have that additional layer. Frequent sanitizing of hands is going to be encouraged for all students and staff. There will be ample amount of hand sanitizers in each classroom for staff and students to use. But we're also going to encourage staff and students to use restrooms, and we will have hand washing stations throughout the campus that students can use to sanitize their hands. Once again, temperature screenings will be done for students in 0 and first period. And once again, we're encouraging the symptoms monitoring to be done at home before staff and students come onto campus. And if any student or staff is displaying any sort of symptoms or experiencing any symptoms, then they are recommended not to come to school and stay home. So some of the highlights from the cleaning and disinfecting section of the attestation plan. Please know that frequent cleaning for high traffic areas will be done every single day, multiple times a day. Student desks will be sanitized using a non-contact product to spray in between student stations or student sessions. And as you can see, there's a picture of what that spray is going to look like. So simply that spray just goes on the student desk and the desk shields, and then within a couple minutes, it dries by itself. Disinfecting the classrooms will be done, as you can see the picture of Pierre with the ionizer that he's spraying on a desk and desk shields. So those will be used at the end of the day to disinfect classrooms. We are also encouraging the reducing or removing of shared equipment. Mainly this applies to PE classes, but it can apply to any other classroom as well where there is a possibility of shared equipment. We also have extensive supplies of PPE and cleaning agents. So all of this PPE will be given to the teachers, and then we will set up some sort of request form. So if a teacher is running low on something in their classroom, then they can easily request whatever that supply may be, and then we will get it out to the classroom ASAP. We're also focusing on reducing or eliminating use of shared space, for example, library, lounge, or commons. So those are just some of the highlights from the cleaning and disinfecting section of the attestation plan. So now let's take a look at the physical distancing guidelines section of the attestation plan. So we've taken the student body that has decided to come back on campus. We've taken that population and split it into two cohort groups. So cohort 01, which will be on campus on a Monday, Thursday basis, and then cohort or group 02 will be here on a Tuesday, Friday basis. So we've split the student body into two cohort groups to reduce the class sizes. 6 feet of space between desks in the classroom is a must. Student desk shields on an as-needed basis. So we have ample amount of student desk shields, but if that will be based on if students are requesting for additional layer of protection, or if the teachers want those desk shields in their classroom, then we will provide them. So just let us know if those are needed, and we will get those student desk shields out to the classroom as soon as we can. We have clearly marked walking path and direction. So you'll see that the entire campus is blanketed with these signs. So when students are back on campus, we want students to move in one direction. And in just a second, I'll show you what that map actually looks like, so you'll get a better idea of how we want the students to move about on campus. We're also going to restrict access to campus. So non-essential visitors, volunteers, and activities will be limited during school hours. So we want only people that have business being on campus will be allowed on campus. Everybody else will be turned away at the gate. Campus is split into two zones for nutritional break. So the students that are on campus, the student body will be split into two zones, once again to limit the student body out on campus, and then limit the congregation that can happen at that point in time. And then we also have designated drop-off and pickup locations for students, once again to limit congregation and student contact. So 9th and 10th grade students will be dropped off in the staff parking lot by the bus gate area. And then 11th and 12th grade students will utilize the front parking lot or the main parking lot, and then use the main gate as an entry point onto campus. So those are the two designated drop-off and pickup locations to minimize student contact. So here's the map that I was just talking about in terms of the directional map. right? So we want students to flow in a counterclockwise direction when they're on campus. This will help us ensure that we have limited student contact. So as you can see, we want all of the students to move about in a counterclockwise direction. And we will have campus supervisors and administrators and any personnel that I can find will be out about on campus, making sure that students are following the expectations that we have set for them. And then last but not least, here's an example, well, not an example, but the actual schedule of what it will be like when students are back in the hybrid. Right? So students that have zero period, their zero period will start at 7:05. And then for those students that have first period and not a zero period, their school day will start at 8 o'clock. Sixth period ends at 1:15, and then lunch will be from 1:15 to 1:45. Now just know that lunch will be in a grab and go format. So students are not expected to sit on campus and have their lunch. They will have an opportunity to pick up their lunch on their way out of campus. Now this schedule is only for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. As we've already talked about, the split 01 group will be here on a Monday, Thursday rotation, and then 02 group will be here on a Tuesday, Friday rotation. Wednesdays are still entirely virtual, so no students will be on campus. The only exception to that are going to be students with special needs. They will be on campus on Wednesdays. However, everybody else for Wednesdays will be working entirely virtually. So these are some of the highlights of the attestation plan. Certainly, please let us know if you have any questions or concerns, and then we will address those ASAP. Thank you very much.